Every morning, when I enter Ridge, the smell of motor oil greets me like a comforting, familiar handshake. I've dedicated 15 years of my life to AutoWorks, a shop that's more than just a garage. It's a haven, a place where engines hum, and I can breathe. I'm not merely a mechanic here, I'm the one who knows their secrets, the one who puts them back together, piece by piece. The man who transformed this building from a dilapidated shed into the shop that now maintains half of this town's automobiles. My grizzled, discolored hands move in rhythm, like an artist. Tightening a nut, slipping a wrench, it feels instinctive. But to my wife's family, I'm nothing like that. That morning, I was elbow deep in an engine. The guy in dirty overalls. The one who doesn't belong in their polished world. It was the kind of work that makes you lose track of time. So when the door chime rang, I wiped my hands on a rag, expecting a customer. But instead, it was my wife. She looked like she'd seen a ghost, clutching her purse like a lifeline, face pale, eyes refusing to meet mine. I felt it. Something was wrong. Before she even opened her mouth. "It's about my sister's wedding," she murmured, voice barely a whisper. With the rag still in my hand, I leaned against the bench and waited. For the rest, she doesn't want you there, just like that, barred. Her sister, the family's golden child, was getting married in a few weeks, and I wasn't invited. She thinks, "You'd embarrass them," my wife stuttered, trying to soften the blow. You know how she is. Yeah, I knew. Her family had looked down their noses at me for years. I was the outsider at every elegant dinner, tolerated only because I was married to their daughter. No matter what I said, about the shop or her mother's brisk remarks, I could still see her father's tight, fake smile. They didn't understand me. Didn't want to. To them, I was a stain on their perfect family portrait. And now her sister had drawn the line. I turned to my wife, hoping she'd say something different, hoping she'd stick up for me, but she just stared at the floor. Her silence said more than any words ever could. So I tossed the rag on the bench and said calmly, "Guess I'll stay home then," before turning back to the engine. She paused, like she might say more. But then she left. The door chimed again, and I was alone with the sound of the shop. The engine in front of me needed a new timing belt, a simple fix, but my hands weren't steady. Her words echoed in my mind. Embarrassment. Not a theory, any more, but a spoken truth. I had always known her family didn't think I was good enough, but hearing it come from her, that cut deeper than I was ready to admit. I may have tightened a bolt harder than necessary just to let the anger escape. Letting go of things, of people that hurt me, wasn't new. I'd been managing their judgment since the day her father pulled me aside and asked if I was sure I wanted to take on his daughter, like I was a burden she'd chosen. I'd told him I loved her. Laughed it off. Now here I was, standing in my shop, excluded from her sister's wedding. I checked the clock. Only noon. But the day felt long, heavy. A busted transmission sat waiting in the next bay. Invoices stacked high on my desk. Work. Had always been my safe place. When life got messy, I came here, to the hum of machines and the simplicity of metal. Machines don't judge. They just need someone to understand them, someone to put the pieces back together. I grabbed a wrench and got back to it, but the morning conversation clung to me like an ache in my knuckles. Later, I thought about her sister. Always center stage, always needing the spotlight. She'd never liked me, said I was too quiet, too rough around the edges for her shiny world of polished people and curated events. Now she thought I was worthless. What did she tell her fiancé? That I'd ruin her day? Because I might show up with oil on my shirt and mess up her picture-perfect wedding? The idea made me almost laugh. But not quite. I'd learned to ignore those assumptions. But this time, it wasn't just her. It was my wife's silence that stung. By the time I finished the timing belt, I stepped back, wiping my hands. The shop was quiet. Just the hum of the fan and the occasional clatter. At the sink, I scrubbed with industrial soap, watched the black swirl down the drain. I could fix cars, people, especially family, much harder. Drying my hands, I glanced at the old photo on my desk. Our wedding day. We were younger then. I believed love could bridge the gap between our worlds, and I smiled, like we had the whole world ahead of us. The phone rang. A customer asking about their pickup. I answered calmly, like I always did. This was my territory. Here, I was in charge. Here, no one made me feel less. But when I hung up, the ache was still there. It wasn't going away. That night, I sat across from my wife at the dinner table. Her eyes flicked to her phone every few seconds. Neither of us spoke. I chewed my food slowly, pretending this was just another quiet moment. But the wedding, it hung in the air between us like a thundercloud. I finally put my fork down, the noise sharper than intended. "Are you going to say anything about it?" I asked, voice steady but tight. She sighed, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "It's not me, okay? It's my sister. She's marrying a powerful man. She wants everything perfect. She just doesn't think you'd fit in." It stung. Not because it was new, but because it came from her. I crossed my arms, leaned back. Her sister's fiancé, some billionaire manufacturer. The family was tripping over themselves to impress him. They blew off the guest list to cater to him and his polished guests, tech elites and political figures, and I was the peasant who'd ruined the vibe of their royal court. I said quietly, "So I just stay home and pretend it didn't happen?" She frowned. "I don't know. I tried talking to her. But you know how she is. I didn't want to make things worse." I nodded, staring at the grain of the table as it blurred. I'd been the quiet husband for years, swallowing their jabs, attending cocktail parties I hated. For her. But now? I wasn't even sure we were on the same team. I stood, took my plate to the sink. The sound scraped too loudly. "I won't. Beg to attend a wedding." "But you had the chance to stand up for me." I turned away, not wanting to argue. But she whispered, "It's her day. Yes. But what about ours? What about the vows we made?" I scrubbed the plate harder than needed, focusing on the suds instead of the hurt. I didn't even want to go to that wedding. I would have sat quietly, clapped when needed, but being told I wasn't good enough? That stung in a different way. I dried my hands and walked out to the garage. The house was too small, too silent. In the shop, the air was cooler. The scent of metal and oil wrapped around me like armor. I turned on the light, let it spill across the bench. The tools were lined up perfectly, reliable in a way people never are. I picked up a socket wrench, feeling its weight. They didn't know. Not even my wife knew. Ridge Auto Works kept the lights on. But my real success was CR Dynamics, a consulting business I ran quietly on the side. I wasn't just fixing cars. I'd been fixing broken companies. One of them, a major manufacturing firm on the brink of collapse, I'd saved, streamlined, transformed, tripled their output. The board called it a miracle. They handed the spotlight to their glamorous co-director. She took the interviews, the praise, but the real fixes happened in the shadows. That company, the empire her sister's fiancé now runs, yeah, I saved it, and they still think I'm just the guy in overalls.